Well, we're getting to the end of the season, and we need to talk about who is going to be the manager of the season in the Premier League. Now, you could argue there are quite a few options this year, which is, again, quite remarkable. Most managers have been really hot, and a lot of managers have been really cold. We've seen probably the most fired managers this season. Chelsea had two. I believe Tottenham had two, and I believe Leeds had two. There might have been one other team that actually fired two managers in one season, which, again, it's been a ridiculous season. So many things have happened this season, but we are going to talk about who I think is going to be the manager of the season. Now, obviously, this goes in the factor that if Pep Guardiola wins the Premier League, wins the FA Cup, or even the Champions League, that he's going to get it. It doesn't matter. But if he only wins the Premier League, then this leaves it wide open for anyone else minus Mikel Arteta, because if he wins the Premier League, then obviously he gets it. So the scenario right now is that Manchester City wins the league itself, but Pep Guardiola does not win any other trophies, and Arteta finishes second, if not third, with Arsenal. So that being the scenario, then we're looking at possibly two or maybe three other managers that could maybe win it this year if those two things do happen. Now, the first one has to be Eddie Howe. The way he's transitioned Newcastle from last season being a relegation squad to be now in the Champions League is quite remarkable. And again, I think a lot of people are just pushing this to the side, saying, well, Newcastle was able to invest quite a bit of money this season, and therefore, again, that's the reason why. We've seen with Chelsea how reinvesting into a squad can go terribly wrong, and somehow Eddie Howe was able to do that with a shoestring budget when you compare it to Chelsea and some Manchester City and all the other clubs, to again get them in the top four and firing correctly fairly quickly, with again last season being so terrible, which I can't remember how many losses they had. I want to say by December they were in the relegation, and again finished maybe I think in 10th or something along those lines. But to finish in the top four this season is quite remarkable, which is why I have a feeling he could be the possible winner. Now the next one, this has to go to Emery. Emery, from what he did at Aston Villa, is also quite remarkable, because what we saw with this club, Steven Gerrard was doing absolutely nothing, really could not get anything going. Emery comes in, has one signing during January, just one. So we're looking at the exact same squad that Steven Gerrard had, and yet somehow Emery goes from 17th to 6th in one season. Looking at that, looking at when Emery joined Aston Villa and when we're at now, he would literally be in the top four. I think he would be in second place, if not first place, with the results they've been having now. Again, I haven't looked at it since last week or two, so maybe it's slightly different. But the fact is that he would be in the Champions League as well had he started the season with Aston Villa, which, again, is mind-boggling. Now, the last one who I think, again, could be a dark horse, which, again, you may think differently, but still I think he deserves a shot, is De Zerbi. And I think what he did, same thing with what Emery had to do. He had to do at Brighton. Graham Potter was there. He comes in, and they are on the cusp of actually making the Champions League. Now, again, a lot of things still have to happen for him, but still, if he's able to win out this season, that means they still have to beat Arsenal, have to beat Manchester City, and I believe Newcastle, which, again, if he wins those three matches, the man deserves the manager of the season. But like I said, it really comes down to Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola. And again, we need to talk about Arteta, what he's done at Arsenal, because obviously he's really turned this around as well. This is the first time Arsenal have been in the top four in quite a long time. He's broken 80+ points with this team, could possibly hit 90. Obviously gave Manchester City a run for the money. The season's not over yet. He still could win it, but even if they don't win it, he still has the capability of winning manager of the season, even if, again, Pep Guardiola goes on to win the Champions League. Again, it's difficult because so many managers have done so well this season. And you could even argue Erik ten Hag, if he goes on to win the FA Cup. That means he's won 2 titles in his first season. But yet, I don't think he's going to be one of the managers that people are going to talk about. So again, it comes down to, I think, Pep Guardiola with how he finishes with Manchester City, Arteta if they can win the league, and I think Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe, though, if all things go perfectly, that Manchester City only wins 1 trophy, Arteta wins nothing, I think Eddie Howe then gets it over everyone else. So I want to know what you guys think on that, on my prediction of the manager of the season, what you think, who you should be in this list, who should not be in the list, and what you guys think of this overall season. So comment down below, and I'll get to those as soon as I possibly can. So that is it, and I will see you in our next video.